Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, coming to you live from station WEBM. And that's wonderful, Eddie B. Marcus, operating smack down from the top of the sky, which I call the spiritual realm, to wherever you are. And my hope is that the message that I give to you will illuminate you, bring you around, and serve you in a knowing way that is exciting to you and as wonderful and accepted by you as the blood that flows through your veins. Well, the message that I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen, is in conjunction with the message that I've been bringing to you for quite some time. I was doing some research today, and I was researching how the class system works. And this was done by an economist by the name of Richard Wolff, who brought on other economists to validate or to give their opinions in conjunction to what he had said based upon their understanding of the same type of dealings. And what I found, ladies and gentlemen, is that when we talk about, and as he talked about, the various markets, he talked about the Marxist economics versus the capitalist economics. He talked about pure capitalism and global capitalism. And in all of these instances, he got a chance to bring in other various countries that perhaps many of us might be familiar with, and some of us are not. Now, the reason that I'm speaking to you about this is because there are so many systems of economics in the world, and they all differ. They talk about how the American system used to work back in the 40s and 50s, 60s, and 70s. Or should, for those of you who don't want to deal with the Depression, let's just say the 50s, 60s, and 70s. How the workers used to have a little bit more money in their paychecks, how they had a more of a better standard of living compared to what we have today. And they talk about the reasons why. They talk about the taxation between the workers and those of the owners, the corporations. They gave you a pretty good picture of how that system worked. And they even took where the changes came about after the 70s, when people started having to pay more taxes, the corporations paying less taxes, when they started talking about how that money was moved around and how the markets start playing a part in our economy. Then they all contrast that with other parts of the world, say Germany, Italy. And I only mentioned that to you to let you know that I have done some research, but I'm not going to go into the details of it, so you can get on your research mechanisms and find out for yourself what is being said. I only want to continue this because what I have been offering to you is what I consider, out of all of this economic advice and information that I have heard, every last one of them got their problems. Many of them are much better than others. Even today, they say that German economies are so much better than American economies because of the way that it's set up. And we used to talk about Germany because we used to think that we were the best growing economy out here, and in some corners of the world, you could verify that that was legitimate. Now, today, it's not like that. We are way down the line compared to other people when it starts talking about their economy, even in education and healthcare and all of these various uh, directions. And as I thought about that, I I reflected back on what I've been telling you all along, and that is this: the original plan, the original plan for economics, the original plan. And usually, when they're talking about economics, they're talking about survival. They're talking about those life resources that everybody needs, how they're met, and the outcome, and so forth. And so, I have always advocated, since I've learned about these others and the failures of them and the inadequacies of them, the number one that seems to be lacking any of that, and that's the original. Now, before I tell you the original, let me kind of give you some idea about how they split. I'm not going to go into very much detail about how they split. I'm just going to show you the splitting of it. Let's take, for those of you who, for some strange reason or another, ended up going to church. I'll say Christianity, because that was at one time the major dominant religious force here in America. You were taught that heaven existed. It wasn't here on earth according to the teachings. It was someplace else. Well, up yonder someplace. And the people there, or should I say, they weren't called people. They were referred to as we can refer to ourselves as people, but they were called angels. Now, there's supposed to be a difference between human beings and angels. Now, I know what a human being is. I have no idea what an angel is. But they gave us some indication that you could be compared similar. Now, they said in heaven everything was perfect. So you would say that those principles that I espouse to you were perfect, but in heaven. And I'm going to show you where else they were perfect at. But something happened in heaven. There was some angel in heaven that didn't like everybody being heavenly, did not like the fact that people or angels were so satisfied by following the principles and guidelines of a power that they could not see. They couldn't see it, but they just followed the principles that were written on their hearts. And this particular spirit embedded itself in an angel. They call it Lucifer, who was said that the power should be seen. And since the power was invisible, then it allowed for this angel to claim authority of that power. And so he had to start deceiving the angels. And I'm sure he told the angels the same thing that they're told today, that you are superior to other angels. You deserve better than other angels. You require more and the best than other angels. And so, pushing that lie out, angels started believing it. And as they started believing it, heaven started having problems. Same way we have problems everywhere that practice these kinds of principles. And so they were set aside, identified as the problem makers. And it appears, according to that scriptures or words that were handed down to the generations, is that force which divided that which was interrupting the heavenly process and the beauty of heaven was kicked out. But what it was doing was choosing a different fashion, a different way that angels should respond to their existence than that which they had been doing all along. Presented a problem. Now, my next step is to talk about the Garden of Eden. Now, you heard nowhere in the Garden of Eden the story about the Garden of Eden where trouble existed. You heard none of that. In fact, they only just kept it down to two people, Adam and Eve. But everything was beautiful. The garden, everything of the garden was available to them to do any and everything that they wanted to do. Nothing was beyond their ability to achieve. But they had one restriction. And it wasn't a big restriction. It was a restriction to not do what had been done in heaven. In heaven, as I indicated, they disobeyed the rules. On earth, they were given, well, in the garden, they were given the same basic principles. Do not deny the ruler, which was all caught up in the rule. Don't touch this. Everything else you can touch. Everything else you can do. But do not touch this. Which meant if you respected that, you're respecting the one who gave you the rule, which was the power that you couldn't see. But now, everything going fine, just like it was in heaven. That same old spirit found a way in the garden. Probably was there all the time, but nobody was listening. But over time and in time, somebody started listening. They say this voice came in the form of a snake. Now, does that mean a crawling snake? I have no idea. They tell me the worst snakes you can ever run across is a person. But anyway, the snake came in and started talking the same message that it talked in heaven. You deserve better than those. You are better than they are. You are superior to them. You ought to rule them, and why not? They're talking about something you can't see. Why don't you get on the throne, sit on the throne, and become the power that they can see? And all of those things that you decide become truth. And like heaven in Eden, the same thing happened. So what happened? They got kicked out of the garden, the story goes. Now, here we are, out of heaven, out of the garden, and in America. Now, I'm saying in America, though it happened all over the earth, and is happening all over the earth. I'm saying America because most of your understanding about the earth is restricted to maybe your city, maybe your state, and perhaps your country. Now, we, as far as we know, have never experienced heaven here. Some people might have, but the masses have never. And we have instituted all kinds of programs that's supposed to make us happy, make us fulfilled, and to be the greatest nation that ever lived. But today, we have in practice, in America, the same basic principle that happened, let me say, the same basic discord that happened in heaven, that happened in Eden, is happening in the United States. We have the voice, that same old voice in heaven and Eden. It's found an embodiment in a person here in the United States who is claiming that, well, this person claims to be God because he says that he's the only one that can fix the problems of the world. The only one. He didn't say some of us. He said he's the only one that can fix the problems of the world. And what he is doing is separating the people by blaming other folks for the shortcomings of others, saying that some are more important than others, some deserve more than others, and the problems that you have are the result of others who are trying to do this and do that. The same old story that was told in heaven, the same old story that was told in Eden is now being told here in America. And here you got the mass media, you got your telephones, you got your tablets, you can watch what's going on all the time. In fact, most of you don't even take your eyes off of these things. You walk and fall in ditches and stuff with your eyes on the screen. I don't know if you're watching information like this. However, it's still there for you. That same process. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to destroy America, just like it was trying to destroy heaven, just like it tried to destroy Eden. Now it's trying to destroy America. In heaven, it was kicked out. In Eden, it was kicked out. In America, the message that I give is to kick it out, not to switch around to someone else in authority over the status quo, but to kick that cancer out. And what would kick that cancer out? The thing that would kick that cancer out is the original plan. The original plan, by the power that you can't see, that says every last one of you are important, that provided that every last one of you could have your needs met. Not only that, but also that each of you could be happy and thrilled in your living. But you got to keep that voice out that's dividing you. And so we don't have to focus on the economics, as I started out talking to you about economics all over the globe, that so many of them are better than others, but every last one of them have their shortcomings when compared to the original plan. Now, the original plan, each of these, mind you, serves some people better, that I just mentioned, serves some people better than others. Sometimes it serves each of its groups a heck of a lot better than some other economies serve their people. But nevertheless, they are all shortcoming. Now, the original plan is that the power that you can't see created the earth and all of the things that's on the earth, the oil, everything that you can have a career in. Here, in the original plan, it still belongs to the maker. When you have a child, that is your child. People can maybe try to adopt it, but that's your child. So the earth that was created by a power that you can't see belongs to that power, not you, not any other nation. It belongs to the power that created it. And the power that created it indicates through the harmony of its operation that it was made that each of human beings, each of us created by a same power that we can't see, but it's common because all of our needs for survival are the same. Every last one of our needs for survival are the same. And most of the resources that are in the earth that we have researched and reached out to extract meets the fulfillment of those survival requirements. Here's the key. In creating the human beings, that power that we can't see puts something special in each one of us. Something special that gives us a yearning, a desire to not just be here, but to do something. To do something. And in doing that something, we get our greatest pleasure. It's not a paycheck. It's not any of those things that we say rewards us in a common and ordinary economy. But it is the greatest pleasure that we can get. And the only thing that can give it to us is engaging ourselves in that creativeness that has been designed from the beginning. Now, how smart was that power that we can't see that did this for human beings? It did it in such a way that when each human being engages its tools, its gifts in the process, the creative process of those things so essential for us, they extract from gifts that's given by that power we can't see. If it's oil, if it's lumber, if it's materials for the building of stuff, it all comes from God. It doesn't come from XYZ who claims it as their own. See, that happened from the authority of those who try to take over heaven. That happened from the authority of those who try to take over Eden. That happened from the authority of those who try to take over the earth. All of that stuff happens from them. Insufficient. But that original plan is that you are paid by engaging yourself in that gift that you've been given. And all of the things, food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, is all presented and made available to you in abundance by your own hand. And all you had to do was engage yourself in that specific gift that you have, that specific career of your choice. And by so doing and receiving the joy, you play a part in the creation of a multitude of stuff. Enough stuff to supply the whole universe. Well, let me just keep it down here. The whole America. Enough stuff. Without the invitation from that which wants to destroy and separate you. Without engaging in the process that deceiver brought about, that made whites and blacks at odds with each other, that made poor and rich at odds with each other, that made male and female at odds with each other, that made Americans at odds with others. All of that came from that deceiver that you see in Washington right now trying to perpetuate and keep going. But the message that I bring to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that is not the answer. If you checked all over the globe and find systems that work 100 times better than America, you will still find that neither of them are the answer. The answer is for every individual. Even that one that tried to lie to you and deceive you. Their needs are being met, except their hunger for power, except their desire to be God. Now that's not met until they deceive you to think that what you used to think, like 2 and 2 was 4, now they've convinced you that 2 and 2 could be anything they wanted to be, but definitely not 4. And just like the third of the heavenly host went with that deceiver, half, according to the information that we received, of the host in Eden went with that deceiver. And right now in the United States of America, you have, you can't even imagine the number of people that's going along with this evil description. They're not thinking about what the original plan is, how what they're doing hurts anybody else. They don't care because the deception has been put in. But for those of you who do care, those of you who've been left out of their plan, You have the original plan. And that's to do what? To do what they did in heaven. Kick that monkey out. To do what they did in Eden. Kick that monkey out, or that snake, whatever you want to call it. And now it is required for you here in the United States of America to kick that monkey out. But now kicking that monkey out doesn't mean just get rid of that one. It means straightening up the situation. They say when that junk got kicked out of heaven, heaven was fine. When that junk got kicked out of Eden, Eden was fine. So when this junk get kicked out of America, America will be fine. So what am I saying to you, ladies and gentlemen? I'm saying to you that the heaven that you want so much is in your hands. You didn't know it. That's why you were on your knees praying. That's why you were asking those who said they knew God to pray for you. And it still didn't happen. And it's not going to happen until you receive the truth and you start responding to the truth that the power is in your hand. And it's a simple task. It says, do unto others as you'd have others to do unto you. It can't be any more simple than that. Do unto others as you'd have others to do unto you. Practice that, and you will see America turn the flip, and it will be beautiful. Now, knowing this, I asked the people of the state of Minnesota to make me the next senator so I can keep on talking this talk. And as soon as I'm there, I'm asking America to start making plans to make me the next president, so I can speak not only here in Minnesota, but all across the country. And the message is to get the country on the right track. And what is the right track? Not me, not blacks, but the power that we can't see. That's the right track. So that all of us will know the importance of doing unto others. That's what it's all about. And I'm not on any ballot. To be on a ballot means I got to go with the platforms of the Republican or Democratic Party. Or beyond that, need some money from those who are lying and deceiving and benefiting from you all the time. I got to get money from them, which means I got to sell out what I'm telling you for what I keep on telling you this, but I got to be willing to sell it out once I get into office. So I got to go all the way, trusting that there are enough of you out there who can receive this truth, who will do what is required to be done to kick out this evilness, this monkey that's trying to capture you, the American populace. I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this your time. It has truly been a wonder, and I hope you can see it as that, to the degree that you engage yourselves in this initial process. Until next time, Eddie Marcus saying bye-bye.